And okay, I think we're live. So, welcome everyone who's tuning in on YouTube or listening to the podcast on audio form, whenever you might be listening to it, to episode 3 of Long Toss here on the Walkoff. So, I am Adam Mack, joined as always by Scott Belford. Scott, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, I'm so excited for this. I can't wait until we live stream an episode during the Stanley Cup final. That's what I can't wait for.
I know. Well, I was thinking that too. We really missed out on those January 6th riots at the Capitol. That would have been a perfect time to go live and talk balls. So, maybe next time. Joel, what's going on? Welcome back, buddy. You're three
Not too
for
much,
three on
Adam.
this show.
Yeah, loving it every single time. It's been a blast. Today's a great day to talk baseball. There's nothing else really going on, so
No, I know just before we went live, you literally said, let me just turn my TV so I can still watch the Super Bowl. But hey, you're still here. So.
monitor here, monitor here, monitor here, TV there.
That's life nowadays in 2022. Lewis, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me. It's going to be fun. After the Super Bowl, the baseball season officially starts. It's baseball season, kind of, but yeah, I'm ready to go. Thanks for having me.
Someone tell Manfred that because we're running out of time here. For anybody watching and is annoyed by that light directly behind Lewis's head, we did try to get him to turn it out before the show, but it was total darkness. So.
There's nothing I can do.
It's either he sits in the dark or we get a halo.
I'll move over.
Head,
so yeah,
there we go. Angel.
Look at
that.
All right. And then lastly, joined by one of my favorite comedians in all of Canada, Sean Lacomber.
Hey,
friend of the show. You've been on the show for the interview
I've
portion.
been on the show. The last time I was on the show, I talked about how I didn't think Vladdy was going to be very good.
Yeah, I believe it was trade him while he's still worth something. Was the hot take.
I think I was like, he's a guess hitter. He's never going to figure it out. So thanks for not rolling that clip.
Let's say it about Nate Pearson now.
Yeah, could you jinx Nate Pearson into a successful year too?
That's right.
That'd be really handy. All right. So, list of topics for today. We are going over the MLB has stopped testing for performance-enhancing drugs during the lockout. The universal DH is now unofficially official. Dante Bechet resigned from the Toronto Blue Jays. Trevor Bauer still sucks. And the MLB has argued in court that minor league players should in fact not be paid during spring training. So very frugal from the MLB owners there. Let's just jump right into it, I suppose. So the MLB has announced they are no longer testing, I guess for the first time in like 20 years, they're not testing for steroids right now. Is this a big deal or no deal? Joel, go.
Well, it's going to be like the agreement is going to be hashed over, and it's not like we're going into a future of baseball where it's going to be steroid baseball now. That's not likely going to be the scenario, but it does hang over baseball at kind of a weird time with Clemens and Bonds not making it on their final ballot. Mm-hmm. And just for that to like cross over with, I don't know, they're not testing, and you're like, so I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. They're going to deal with it, but it's just an interesting time.
I can just picture Robinson Cano being like, this couldn't have happened 2 years ago. Come on, right? Like,
do you think there's any fringe, like AAA guys who feel like they're right on the cusp, who maybe now they see a window of, hey, maybe I can put on some muscle this off season and get away with it? Or is that just too risky to even bother with that?
Is it like part of negotiations? Is that what you're kind of getting? Like it's still all going to get hashed out. And so how does that work? Is it like this is okay? If the players give us X, then we won't test Y. Like, is it just sort of like, okay, the players don't like being tested. They don't like the randomized testing. They don't like how often it happens. So if we can get something out of them, then we'll test less. Is that kind of how this is working?
I don't know if the MLB has any intention
to
test less. I think it's just like we aren't allowed in contact with them anyways, so testing is impossible.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
It's on a freeze right now.
Just not happening, yeah.
Right. Okay.
I
So
just think,
really,
I mean, of course, right? Like, there's always going to be guys, there's always going to be Chris Colabellos out there who are like, frick, I'm so close. Maybe it's worth the risk. No, like, we're still getting guys who are testing positive for PEDs even when they were testing.
And you think about like foreign substance being a PED type thing. 60% were doing it last year. Saw a standard deviation drop when foreign substance got enforced, right? So you can't say that there isn't 2% that are going to do it, like 3% that are thinking about it at least, right?
especially when we're talking about how, I mean, the players, I don't, they get tested all the time. They don't like the testing. I mean, and especially when you consider like how they get treated in AAA, right? I mean, the difference in the money is like, of course, if you're in AAA, because, if you get called up for 20 games, that's more money than you would have made,
whole season.
Got to get out of there, right? Absolutely.
What about you, Lewis? You're a young lad on the cusp of his MLB career. Are you tempted now to dabble in the PEDs?
No, I have not considered it, but maybe I should. Need to put on some muscle.
A cycle or two.
We did talk with you last year about the sticky stuff on the ball.
That's right. Yeah.
Is that still a thing now in youth baseball?
I've seen less of it, way less of it, but I haven't really been pitching much. But I'm not going to do it if that's what you're asking.
Well, of course. Hey, I don't want to ruin a burgeoning MLB career here. So
put it in your hair. That's where they're not checking. Not checking.
Yeah, you gotta get all the hair stuff.
Look at the spin rate on that quaff.
Yeah.
Spin rate
about 250 RPM with that flow.
Man.
Well, that's why Kirby Snead has that long hair, right? So.
Exactly.
Let's move on now. We got a question here from Discord, so anybody feel free to jump in and answer this one. This one cracked me up when I read it this morning. My girlfriend has no interest in baseball. How do I get her to start watching Blue Jays games with me?
Do it in 30. Jays in 30. It's got to be
30.
That's the only way to do it.
No, that was a great, honest answer.
You watch the entire game yourself, at your own pace, so she's not berating you about like, how can you what? And then later on, you watch. That's the only way. There's no way you're gonna get her involved in a 3-hour and 45-minute 10-pitcher production. It's just not gonna happen.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I'd say like sit her down for like the romantic baseball movies, like I don't know, For Love of the Game's kind of a romantic one, or A League of Their Own. That's the way to kind of, I guess, get ladies into seeing it from a female perspective, maybe, or I don't know. There's a lot of
female
great
perspective. Try Mr. Baseball.
Okay, yeah, there you
go. We need to make a League of Their Own where they're all cheating, like where they all have buzzers.
That's a great.
Don't rip my shirt off, please. Don't rip my shirt off. I have my good buzzer bra. My good buzzer bra. I'm wearing my good buzzer bra.
My buzzer bra.
Amazing. No, my only advice is just don't waste your time and don't waste her time. Enjoy baseball yourself if she's not interested. Take that time apart and
take that time apart to reflect.
I've converted a few ladies.
Exactly.
It's possible to do.
I don't believe it, Joel.
The best way is live baseball. Take them to an actual game, and I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Trying to get them into a mid-June game like 62 of 162.
Make sure Ross Stripling isn't pitching.
Make sure Ross Stripling isn't pitching. Lewis knows.
Yeah, make sure.
I was gonna say if Robbie Ray was still pitching for the team, wait for his games, and then you can just look at his pants, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, there you go. Robbie Ray in the tight pants. All right, let's move on now to the universal DH. It's a thing now, I guess. Was a thing before in the COVID season, then they took it away, and now it's back. Scott, I know you have strong opinions on the DH.
I just like how consistent the MLB has been with it, I just like that it's a part of the game, it's not a part of the game, it's part of the game, it's not a part of the game. It's just good to see MLB be consistently inconsistent.
Absolutely. Well, if we can broadcast during,
I
the
mean,
Super
I don't
Bowl,
know. We're all Blue Jays fans. I'd be shocked if there's anyone here who is actually against the universal DH. Maybe Joel, because he puts his old man pants on sometimes. But I mean, for the most part, who wants to watch pitchers hit? It just.
Well, we enjoy the novelty of it when we're
on
playing an NL team, don't we?
Yeah.
Watching Ryu out there taking bunting practice.
I guess.
Manoa taking swings.
Yeah.
Until the game's on the line, until it's the 7th inning, you're down by 1, a runner at second, and then all of a sudden, up comes
Trevor Richards.
You know.
Well,
I think
I'll totally be the old guy barking at clouds. And but think about it this way: like it gets more players into the game, right? Yeah. You get like pinch hitters. They've been like a big element of pinch hitting is dead now. It's gone. 50. It's been greatly reduced now that there's a universal DH, and you don't have to look at the game and go, do I send him out there in the 6th? Or do I need to get a run here? The maneuvering, the chess pieces, using your entire team, right?
Hold on, Joel.
To be the young punk here, I just want to say, like, at no point last year was I like, if only there were more places where Breivik Valera could get a pinch hit opportunity off the bench, right?
I need Kevin Biggio's lefty bat in the box right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just inviting you to speak because I can see you've got something to say here on the matter.
Sorry. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Sorry, Joel.
Yeah,
Sean.
I just think the pressure, the financial pressure has gotten too great, right? I mean, the pitchers make so much money and their value is so high that it's like just to have them pull a hamstring going up first base. And also they've sort of tried to rectify, making pitchers face 3 people, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to face 3 batters or finish the inning. So, they've tried to sort of, put a little pressure on teams to, I like pitchers hitting, because I'm not, I don't know. I don't mind it. I like the strategy of it. I don't mind it at all. But then, like you said, when you're watching a Jays game, you're like, let's put the best hitting lineup we have. That's the team I want to see. So
I'm definitely not
arguing. Some interesting numbers here.
Become the NL.
Sorry, go ahead. Some numbers for us.
Yeah, some interesting numbers. We talked about this on the show on Friday, but there were about 4,150 at-bats by pitchers in the NL last year, and it was a combined 108 batting average for that. Like, that's a pretty large sample size of shit. And 45% of them struck out. 45% of the time they struck out. So you're just watching guys go up there, strike out, and then rotate through again. So I don't know. And then
think about how much easier it is for pitchers in the NL to have that freebie.
Yeah.
Every time the first 4 innings you're in a game, you've got a freebie. You've got a place where you can take a breath. Like you can be careful to the number 8 guy. Like you can, like norm in the AL, you can't. But yeah, I mean, it's got to be a lot easier to pitch in the NL. And I wonder how much that's factored into contracts and stuff, where it's like, this guy did this, but he did it facing X number of pitchers and
didn't hurt Kevin Gausman.
No,
no, it didn't. Yeah, we'll see.
It depends. I think it would depend on the guy and the numbers, right? The teams are always going to try and use the analytics in whatever way they can. We can all agree
DeGrom's numbers are inflated because he gets to pitch against pitchers.
I think what you guys are doing right now is called cherry picking.
Yeah.
DeGrom hit like 300 last year.
Pick the best people and go, well, that thing didn't affect the best people.
That's not bad.
I think his 15 strikeout game, he had 2 hits.
All right, he's the next Shohei Ohtani. We get it. DeGrom's pretty good at baseball.
Yeah. All right. Well, he's a shortstop, right? He's the shortstop coming
in. So I think we're all generally.
But I totally want the DH. I just figured that we needed someone arguing the other way, so it's not just a yes DH, yes DH, yes DH. Move on.
Well, you did a good job, Joel, of playing that side.
No, I'm, and honestly, you get a Colorado Rockies DH now, the dream position in all of Major League Baseball. Go in there and sit on the
Albert
bench.
Pujols to the Rockies.
Right? Why not?
Scott and I were talking about this earlier this year, but with the not earlier this year, earlier this week, just about that fact with 15 new DH positions. Does this, how drastically does this increase the chances that Albert Pujols hits 700 in his career? He's at 679 right now, technically a free agent. He's old. He's
technically
Tom Brady
42
old.
years old. Technically.
Like, from a GM's perspective, if he's taking like league minimum, which I think he's up for, right? He's willing to take league minimum.
You think so?
What did he do against lefties last year?
Well, let's hold on. Before we start talking that, let's talk about league minimum for Albert Pujols. Made $30 million.
I'm saying like $1 million
last year.
bucks. Like he's willing to take something that low, I feel.
Do you think so? Because I do feel like part of it, there is still an ego of being a professional athlete.
He even played like
Who's an
Dominican
all-time
Winter Bowl, didn't he? Like I think it's about playing at this point. He's got the
I think you're right, Joel. I think if he is guaranteed his at bats, I think a team like the Pirates or something like that, you know, like a bottom feeding team that's gonna suck in 2022. Why wouldn't you bring in a guy like Pujols, put a bunch of his names on the back of your jersey, sell a bunch of merch, and let him hit his 21 home runs? Like, they're gonna be a terrible team anyway. So why wouldn't a team like the Pirates or the Rockies, right?
That milestone, like Frank Thomas hit 500 with the Jays, right? But I think about his production against lefties, specifically that. That's what I'm interested in because
would the Cardinals do it? Do you think the Cardinals would bring him back?
Wow, I like that, Lewis. What a nice little spin.
Yeah,
it'd be beautiful for him to do stuff.
Bring back their World Series champion.
It's a cool story
champion.
fit. It's a cool story fit, but it's also, you know, he hits well against lefties, and that lineup has a couple of lefties that don't do well against lefties. So
you guys give him way too much credit for taking a huge pay cut to come back. I really want to tell myself that he'd be willing to. That is a huge strike to the ego, and I don't know. Like, A-Rod retired with 696 home runs mid-season. His career just ended 4 home runs shy.
Yeah, really different like personalities there though. Like when I see Pujols is very like, especially when he came his last few games where he played against the Jays and him going over to Vladdy and that like mentoring and the, like honestly I'm not saying bring him here, it doesn't really make sense, but you could just see what it would do. You could just see what it would do to those young players to have him on the bench and just to be able to siphon that knowledge out of him, that those 22 years of
the Simeon clubhouse replacement.
Hey, I agree. And if I'm Albert Pujols, that's why I want like $10 million. I don't want to just be a token freebie. Hey, come finish out your career in Pittsburgh. I've got value to add, even if it's not defensively at first base. I've got knowledge. I'm going to be at least $10 million.
We all agree that he's probably coming back, is what you're saying. Is that there's more value than not being signed at all, right? And he's going to come back, and he has $5 million per year value still, is what you're saying.
I don't know. I feel like he would ask for 10, and I don't know if a team would give him 10.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he's delusional. I think he has a pretty good idea of where he's at in his career, and if he wants to hit that 700, he's probably going to need to.
I can't admit where he's at in his career. Can't even admit how old he is. What are we talking about here? He's 47 years old.
The Grecian beard is great. You know, the dying beard.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, when I saw him come up to bat last year, I wasn't thinking like this one's going out of the yard. I was like, this is over. If they don't throw him the pitch that he's sitting on, it is over.
Yeah. Not much left in the tank. Is that what we're saying?
I don't think there is. One more year. But maybe there is 21 home runs left. Like,
if he was playing for the Jays next year, would you be like, it is showtime, baby? We got 2 on and Albert's up. You don't sell merch if guys aren't hitting. Like at these. I don't know a lot about young athletes, but one thing I do know is they're kind of like show me people, right? So Semien, of course, they're going to listen to Semien. Like he's insanely performing. But Pujols saying like, "Hey guys, do it this way," because 9 years ago, shut up. They don't want to hear some old guy who's not doing it anymore. They're like, "Well, get out of here." Like,
no,
like my dad wants your autograph. That's it.
And my dad played with you.
My dad said, I need to take a picture with you. I haven't seen you hit a ball all year, though.
No, I love that. I think so. Scott brought up an interesting point about Albert Pujols potential. Because here's another concern with Albert Pujols. If, like as Sean says, if he doesn't have the pop in his bat and he's just struggling, we get through May and we're into June and he's only hit like 2 home runs. How long of a leash does a team give him, right? Even if you're the Pirates and you've got nothing else going on, who's buying merch to see Albert Pujols hit 4 home runs next year, right?
You also don't want the story either. You don't want the story.
That's the thing.
Like,
you don't want the
if
story.
I'm a GM, I'm like, I don't really want this story around my team where I'm the team, I'm the GM, I'm the coach that, set Albert Pujols down, and then some stuff gets leaked about Pujols not being happy, and now the national media is on it. I don't need that for 2 home runs.
The Angels already did that whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Why do I need to be the next?
Yeah,
no, absolutely. So that might be a bigger deal than the actual money, whether it's 10 million, whether it's 5 million, whether it's the league minimum. Scott brought up the idea of maybe having a guarantee in his contract for at bats, right? Like maybe he signs for the league minimum, but he says, you don't get to cut me.
You can't cut me.
I get X amount of at bats this year, period. Like, and now that's again another risk, right? Like we did, we saw what was that Korean shortstop last year that ended up signing with the Padres?
Kim.
Ha-Sung
Yes.
Kim, yeah. So he was in the mix to go to the Blue Jays, but he wanted a guarantee that he wasn't going to get sent down to the minor leagues, and the Jays wouldn't do it. So now he's a Padre. Do we see something similar to that with Albert Pujols, where he's like, you get me for cheap, but you're not going to embarrass me. I'm not going to be cut by the Pittsburgh Pirates at the end of my career, right? Like, ego is one thing for money, but that's probably a harder pill to swallow, is I got cut by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I don't know, but like then Sean says, that's a big matzo ball if you're on the hook for 600 ugly at bats in 2022, right? Like,
yep, I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
Joel?
No.
I think I would, because he lost his 300 batting average, right?
Yeah.
That's gone. That's like 298 guy, right? So he needs 700, 3,000 hits. I go for it. Absolutely. Get 700. Be that. That's a echelon that, you become. 600 is an incredible amount, but you ascend to Hank Aaron, you ascend to Babe Ruth, Pujols, Bonds. You're mythical at 700.
People do forget just how good Albert Pujols was.
Oh yeah,
and I've only seen the worst of Albert Pujols in my
Lewis
life.
is just aging himself, because I don't think any of us have forgotten how good Albert Pujols was. Okay, last question on the matter though with Pujols, and then Joel, you can finish up with your comment. Let's just say Pujols signs a contract with whoever. He gets guaranteed at bats. He's playing full time as a DH. Do you think he can do it in one season, or is it going to take him 2? Do you think he can get 21 home runs next year if he's playing full time DH? Honestly, Joel.
Colorado.
In Colorado. So Colorado could do it in 1 year. Everybody else is on the hook for 2 seasons of.
And I don't even know
subpar Pujols.
Yeah, it's probably 2 years to 7. It really is. It's 20. Who's going to give him 500 at bats?
I can't wait till we're talking about this next off season about who's going to let Albert Pujols try for that last 7 home runs.
Oh, absolutely.
The same thing happened with Aaron in his last year. He was 1 short of Ruth, and they sat down and don't play, don't get to that number. You don't, that this argument is happened with those incremental, just those small amounts of home runs that you need to hit to ascend to a different
and then
plateau.
there's diminishing returns on that, right? Where you're like, I want to get to that number so badly that I'm gonna spend 4 years being pretty bad, and then you got that number, but now half of the people who remember you are like, yeah, he really limped across that finish line, didn't he? Wow.
Where you got like, it's funny because the money too will extend you, right? You will play to the end of that money contract. Whereas like Joe DiMaggio, as soon as he lost a step, he's done because he doesn't want anybody to see him,
not at his best. Yeah,
exactly.
He's selling cars on Monday. He's selling cars on Monday. He's gonna go back to the shop and fix brakes.
All right. Next up is Dante Bechet resigns. But before we get there, let's just get a quick question in from Discord here. So this is a good one. Many fans put an asterisk on the Dodgers World Series in 2022 because it wasn't a full season. Technically, if the lockout results in anything less than 162, this won't be a quote-unquote full season either. But practically speaking, what do each of you feel is the minimum games that will still count as a full season? Like if we miss 1 week, that's still a full season, right? But if the season doesn't start until August, not a full season. So where's your line in the sand? Scott, I know we've talked about this briefly, so let's start with you. You might have a number prepared.
I feel like 100. If they play 2/3 the season, that's legit.
2/3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think the number of games played last year impacted who won in the end at all.
Yeah.
Dodgers were clearly the best team.
Yeah.
I mean, for
That's
me,
the thing with that 2020 series, right? Like it was the Rays and the Dodgers that were the best teams. Like those were the two best teams.
I put an asterisk beside teams like that because of the salary. Right.
No, that's a fair distinction.
I like that.
Like when I watch a team like the Dodgers play, and they talk about, don't worry about the salary. This is all homegrown. It's like, well, everything's homegrown, but these other teams had to trade them, right? I mean, so
you got to keep your.
So it's like, what are you talking about? You got to keep everybody who ended up being excellent, and then you went out and got excellent players to replace anybody who didn't end up being excellent.
Yeah.
And every other team that can't spend $250 million, like, to me, that's the storyline that should be front and center on every major league, on every broadcast when they're in the World Series. Is like, let's not forget how much money these guys get to spend.
Yeah,
pound for pound rankings.
It's 100 buzzers. Like it's 100 buzzers. All it's like, like that's as much cheating as wearing a wire. Like it's crazy how much money they get to spend, and they're not the only team. But playing against teams, like how could the Rays possibly count? Like how could they possibly? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Rays just signed Wander Franco to a massive deal. Are any of us confident that he's going to finish that deal in Tampa Bay?
There's no way he does. I love this. No,
Lewis, you think
Let's
he will?
hear from Lewis first.
Maybe they will. I just don't see a world where Franco leaves Tampa. He's too good. He's so good, and the Tampa's done. I don't know. Tampa's evil. They'll do whatever they want.
I'll agree and disagree. He stays with the team, but the team moves.
He's not technically in Tampa. No. All right.
1/4 of the games in Saskatoon, a third in Virginia, 9 in Montreal, and 4 in Halifax.
To add to the part about the how many games lost until it's like an asterisk, like there were games lost. 94 no World Series. There were games lost in 95. Right? There was like a chunk of the season lost in 95. And then 81, there was a chunk of games lost in 81 for that World Series. And we don't asterisk those.
No.
So it doesn't even really ever come up to talk about those years as
why did everybody care then to put an asterisk on last season? Was that just pouting? Were fans just pouting that we Go ahead.
Honestly,
Scott.
I think it's that whenever a team wins, there's always going to be 29 other fan bases that can't wait to pick apart why it's not as legit as it should be. Like,
and I think that's a way to denounce, like, Dodgers hadn't won in so long, and for their win to be in any way, you only did it with this many regular season games. Same thing with the Yankees. We'd be all over the Yanks. Any big name market team like that has that evil big money thing about them, we'd get all over them. We're like, that's not World Series.
No, that is probably true because the Dodgers won. It's just a good excuse to discredit a good team. So, all right, that's fair.
They are the Yankees of the West. Like, they do have a pile of people who hate them. So of course, when they win in such a ridiculous season, like, let's face it, 60-game season is it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
they lost like a $40 million a year pitcher, and they didn't miss a beat.
Didn't miss a beat.
Traded 2 top prospects for Max Scherzer, Trey Turner, and still have a top 5 farm system.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, a funny thing about the Dodgers, when they moved to LA initially, that was actually the proposed new team name was Yankees West.
I'm sure it was.
Not as popular, so they just stuck with the Dodgers. But all right, let's move on from there, unless anybody has anything else to add on that matter.
I just want to say that if for whatever reason the Rays stay in Tampa Bay, we see Wander Franco leave Tampa Bay 5 years into that contract, the second he starts making $20+ million. They'll keep him up until that $14 million, and then once he gets that bump, he's gone, and they're bringing in like 10 first round, like a prospect haul you've never seen before.
The Dodgers will trade for him.
Very true.
Yeah, the Dodgers will trade for him, And everyone will talk about how the Dodgers farm systems.
There was no trade. Was there no trade with that or anything, or was it? It was just. No,
that's a good question. I don't think the Rays would dare put a no trade clause on anybody.
No,
I should check that.
All right, so let's move on now. Dante Bechet has resigned from the Blue Jays so that he can continue to work with his son, Bo Bechet, in the offseason. Doesn't sound like there's any ill will between him and the Blue Jays. This just sounds like lockout circumvention, I suppose. Kind of weird, the idea that Bo and Dante, I mean, of course they're still in contact, but legally shouldn't have been until now. Is there anything to read into this? Is this a sign that sides are far apart, do you think? Or is this just an inevitability?
Would you quit your professional coaching career to help your son out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is one of those questions where the answer is going to be when the lockout's over and he either comes back or doesn't, right? I mean, then we'll know.
Right.
But, until then, we just have no idea if it's anything to do with, I mean, that, I guess if you're a Jays fan, you probably think, shouldn't one of Vladdy or Bo be signed already? I mean, that's the story. Like, why aren't at least one of them should be signed to a big ticket by now? With the front office as proactive as they are, there's a reason why it hasn't happened yet. Like, they don't want. Who knows what that is? I don't know.
Yeah. Do we think GMs have still been talking to each other throughout this lockout?
I 100% think so.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
have to be.
There's no way I think that someone like once this lockout does end and spring training starts 3 days later, Carlos Correa is going to have a team 2 minutes after the lockout ends.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's going to be fast moves, very, very fast. Yeah,
it's going to be so wild, eh? We just have had zero baseball news, and it's going to be just the floodgates open.
I wonder what kind of money. I wonder what kind of money we're talking about. Like, I don't know for guys like that if we're into 40 now. If 40 is the new 30, it's just like, great.
40 million.
How much is Seager?
Player gets 40.
Seager signed 325, 320 in Texas.
Yeah, 325 over 10.
And wouldn't you think that Correa would want more?
He will, but I don't think he gets it.
That's what's shocking to me.
Really?
That's what's like. I kind of feel that. Like, who
Texas
wants to spend that? It's Texas's overspending has literally made Correa. Like, what do you do with him?
Have you guys ever heard of this team out east called the New York Yankees?
And nobody wants to give him.
They won't do it. They will not do it.
I don't think they will
What's
either.
the upcoming kid that they have who's probably going to be playing next year?
Volpe, I think.
Yeah, they want to do a 1 year. That's what they're talking about, bringing Andrelton Simmons in for a 1 year transition because they feel like they have that position kind of locked up.
Yeah.
Well, two of their top 3 prospects are shortstops, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe it's their top 4, but like they're right there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be getting a stopgap. They won't give that kind of contract to Correa, especially when they need to extend Judge next offseason.
That's a good point.
I think Judge is gone. We could talk about that.
I think Judge is gone. Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think. Judge
I mean
is gone.
that's to me that's the most difficult contract that the Yankees that anybody could
300
possibly
again.
have because of the money he'll be earned based on how he plays when he's on the field. But
He's Byron Buxton.
He's not. What do you do? I mean, he can't be a DH. He's gonna, So what do you do? Like, how much money do you give him for somebody who's really like, if he plays 100 games, you're happy?
Yeah.
$900 million between Cole, Stanton, and Judge potentially if they try to throw in 300 million. And that's just
Judge is a $300 million player, but
You think he is?
Definitely.
Yeah, he's
he'll
worth
get
it.
it. He'll get
Simply
that.
amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, when he's on the field, he's
Judge
worth
is
every
so
cent.
overrated. He's such a bum. I'm so. Aaron Judge is a friggin' plug. Oh, he's so overrated. I mean, okay, he's pretty good. He's good at ball. He's better than I am. I'm gonna give him that. All right. Is he $300 million better than I am? I'm not sure.
Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
Lewis,
He is.
Lewis is
never
going to go
even
out
seen me
on
swing
a
a
limb
bat,
here.
buddy.
I'm sorry,
To me,
guys.
Corey Seager made half
Wait a
the league
second.
$300 million players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corey Seager's had the similar injury history to Judge and just got 325.
Yeah.
And he
Which
played
is
shortstop.
insane. I can't believe he got so much money.
So much
to
money.
hit left. It's just because he hits left.
That's why the Jays were going after him, purely because he was a lefty.
Yeah, the news reports at the beginning of the season was he wanted in the area of 180 to 200, and they went to 325.
Yeah.
Seager's like, take it.
3 out of 4 days he will play.
Yeah.
He plays 72% of the time over 20 to 27. That doesn't 20. Post 30, you don't just get like, I'm playing every day now.
And the Rangers are going to
Activate.
lose like more than 90 games. Yeah.
That's to me. That's why you discredit a team like the Dodgers when they win it all, because they don't really. They're playing in a different rule book. It's like you can't give that guy that kind of money when he's not an everyday player. Like we can.
Yeah.
Like so, we can go ahead and overspend and just throw money at everybody, and then talk about analytics. We're the kings of analytics. Like kings of analytics, my ass. Like an ungodly amount of money, you better win. Like it's crazy how much money you're spending. Don't talk to me about numbers. Like it's all cash.
Yeah, Marcus Semien got too much as well.
Let me
way too much. Like think about the fact that the Rangers put into their middle infield $500 million, $500 million for their shortstop and second baseman, who literally are joining a team who aren't even close to contending. Like their pitching is god awful. They've got some good young talent, but they're not there yet. Like I don't know, man.
Makes you think, why would they trade Gallo as well? Like that starting pitcher they had some control. They also signed another starting pitcher, John Gray. That was another guy they signed. Yeah. It is completely bonkers. I think I tweeted about it saying, guys, this is ridiculous. The first 4 years of this contract are just going to be wasted on the Texas Rangers being terrible.
So can I just get clarification from each of you on where you stand? You all think Aaron Judge is a $300 million player and that Carlos Correa is not. Is that the takeaway that I'm getting from this?
Hold on.
Wait. Yeah, hold up.
I think Aaron Judge is going to get $300 million. And I think Carlos Correa will too, but I don't think he'll beat Corey Seager's contract, which everyone at the beginning of the season or at the beginning of free agency was like, of course, Correa is getting more than Seager.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
We'll see.
I agree with that.
It's all about it's all about what they end up negotiating for, because like at the end of the day, Aaron Judge pops 99 on his back, plays for New York, broke the rookie record for home runs, has this prestige about him, and that carries him to a $300 million contract because it's got to be Boris who represents him, and there's no way that he's not going to get max number for that. But when you think about it, when it comes to production levels, Teoscar will give you the same thing, not defensively, but I think Teoscar will give you the same offensive season coming up this year. And he's arbitration at what, it's
10 million, 8 million,
yeah,
something like that.
So it has a lot to do with that persona.
And Judge's, a better defense comes with massive risk, right? Every time you see him run back on a ball, you're like, what is happening this time? Like, so,
and they tell him not to play full out. They're telling Stanton not to play full out, right? And which is, I don't know, man.
I think part of what Aaron Judge is going to get contractually is going to be that he's gonna. When you think Aaron Judge, you think the New York Yankees, right? Like when you think Carlos Correa, that is not. You don't even think Houston. I don't know. For me, I'm just like cheater, analytics, and cheater.
Okay. I don't think that Correa is going to go to New York because he just loved shitting on Derek Jeter too much, and I don't think fans are going to tolerate that. So I do think I don't think Carlos Correa is going to. But if the San Francisco Giants rolled out of bed and were like, we're going to offer him $410 million over 11 years, I would not at all be shocked by that. I can't believe you guys are so down on Carlos Correa getting a big payday.
I am not. Okay, first of all, saying that he's going to get $300 million is not getting a big payday. Like, I just don't think he's going to beat Corey Seager's contract.
Yeah, just like as a GM in my head, do I want to spend $330 million? Like, does he have a 30-year home run season? Does he have 100 RBIs? Like, what am I? He's not a 3-4 hitter because he doesn't play enough games to give you 110 RBIs, 35 home runs. He doesn't play enough to warrant me as a GM on any team saying $300 million and he puts us over the top with his platinum glove at shortstop and hitting 25 home runs, but he only played 120 games this year, and then next year 70, and then 140. That's not
like he is elite.
I am uncomfortable with having to defend Carlos Correa right now. I don't like the way this has taken a turn here, guys. I'm not a Corey.
All because of Seager to me. Yeah. It's Seager putting that bar up here at like 250 million. I understand Carlos Correa. 220 to 265, sure. 325, no. That's no. You're not doing it for me. You're not Alvaro Soto back.
Correa is 26 years old. 27.
Yeah. Oh,
he was 26 last year.
Yeah,
that's so young.
Have some big money.
That is really young.
Yeah,
26. Young, superstar, playoff experience, plays a premier position. Got a glove to go with it.
Talk about a contract.
Never put up a season that Bechet put up last year.
I'm flabbergasted that you guys, all the arguments against Carlos Correa, you're like using for Aaron Judge. Like, Aaron Judge isn't a shining record of availability.
I'm not spending $300 million on Judge either. Once again,
the Yankees will.
But they will. This money will be spent on that.
I'd do
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the Yankees are looking at just a stopgap at shortstop. I think they would just go out. I don't think they're going to get Carlos Correa, but I think Trevor Story would be a perfect fit in New York on a 5-6 year deal, and then they can just figure it out when they need to.
Yeah, I could see that, and then maybe shifting him somewhere else, maybe going to third base. I could see that.
Man, I could feel getting warmer just talking about the Yankees. So let's pivot to there from there to something a little more relaxing. Trevor Bauer is in the news again.
Now I'm really chilled out.
So let's all just chill. Trevor Bauer, though, I guess charges were dropped against him in his domestic violence case. Is he going to be a
Don't call him not guilty.
Yeah, don't call him not guilty.
Charges dropped.
Joel, your eyes seem to perk right up. Is he going to be a Dodger next year?
That's a good question.
Thanks.
Is he going to be a Dodger next year? It'll when the answer comes, yes or no, it really will tell you a lot about that organization's mentality on what they think winning is about, right? Because Kershaw goes away and you end up keeping Bauer. That's just interesting. That's just an interesting concept to say, oh, we let Clayton Kershaw go, but we kept Trevor Bauer. It's just.
Do you think they're going to let Clayton Kershaw go?
Well, I'm just saying if that ends up happening, if one ends up going and one ends up staying, that's just a really weird thing to have to explain to your fans. But
yeah, I don't even think we'd be talking about it if he was a red state player, right? Like if he was playing in a conservative Republican state, it wouldn't even be a talking point. But because it's Los Angeles and you're worried about fan backlash and that would be their main driver, is like we might have to trade him to like a Houston or whatever. Like domestic violence problems can be traded to a red state and it's less of an issue with your fan base and it's over. Right.
Or the Yankees.
The Atlanta Braves would welcome him back with Ozuna. They'd be like, sure, come on.
Sure. I mean, same. Yeah. I mean, it was the same basic thing as Ozuna. Trade him from a very liberal city to a very conservative city. Problem goes away.
Think about Yankees with Chapman and
Domingo
Germán. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
They got 2, 3. They got a hat trick of pitchers there. You went across the.
I think at the very least.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think at the very least he gets suspended. I think he gets suspended.
How long would you guess, Lewis? Like if you were to put a number on what the MLB is going to step out and do.
I'd suspend him for 2 years, but
right.
I'm not sure what the MLB does. Yeah, probably the rest of his career. But MLB wise,
30 games.
30 games. I think that's the number. 30 games is what they'd give him, but still.
Do we think he did it?
Something happened.
The Dodgers clubhouse. Do you want him back? Like,
the clubhouse does not.
That's an interesting point because they did not exactly jump to his defense last year during any.
And if there's one team that can afford to get rid of him, it's the Dodgers.
That's true.
So when it comes to the clubhouse jumping to his defense or not, right? They obviously didn't, and that media made that to be a big deal, right? Is that because they didn't like him so much, or because it is just such a hot button issue? That
he's not a likable
someone
guy.
Who's in that role is
career
suicide potentially.
Yeah, no, you can't. I mean, you're living and working in a city like Los Angeles, and you're going to say like, "Hey, I'm here to support my teammate." Like, no, you just, you can't.
And you've got family members as well.
It's like the one. Yeah, it's the one accusation where you kind of just have to be like, I have no comment.
Mm-hmm.
It was so public too. Like that's the other thing, right? Is it was a massively public trial, and things kept coming out, and then all of a sudden you've got the lady with the picture of her bruises and stuff. Like it was like, how do you get behind that? Like how do you listen? He's my buddy.
Hey, he's my guy, and then you're like, he choked her cat. And like, what the fuck?
Joel, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm. Go ahead.
Trying to think about how to come to Trevor Bauer's defense here.
Well, no, what I was going to say was,
got to pick it. Yeah.
Not
come on, old man, yell at the clouds for us.
No, I was going to do the foreign substance thing on how not only was he being brought into the Dodgers as a pitcher, but he was brought in for his chemistry and the stuff that he was using on the ball. And if you saw the spin rate jumps on all the Dodgers pitchers over the first few months, like Kenley Jansen was throwing like he had never thrown before, or not since like 5 years ago. And Kershaw's numbers were up and Buehler's numbers were up. And they brought him in not only as the defending Cy Young winner, but this chemistry master who knew how to, give him the best spider tack there was.
The spider tack king. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So, and then that was dealt with. So that value is gone now. Right?
We got his recipe. We don't need him anymore.
So that has another big effect on what his value is to the Dodgers, because the Dodgers literally did bring him in not only for but for his chemistry. So
Yeah, I hope he gets cut. I think he will. That's my prediction. Suspension right after it gets cut.
The Dodgers give him his $45 million and say, "Go home, Trevor."
Go away.
Suck on that. All right, let's move on from Trevor Bauer now. Question from Discord. I see Sean's got the Timmies going. What's everyone else drinking tonight?
I also have coffee.
Yeah, I got some home brew going
one
right
and
now.
crank two, if anybody.
Sean's selling merch.
That's how you know I'm at my dad's house. I've got crank one and crank two. Crank two is mostly just them filling out insurance paperwork from all the damage in this one.
I've got a collection of Toronto Rogers Center soft serve helmets. That's what I got.
Lovely.
I've
Joel, what do you got
one
for us?
gallon of water here that
Staying hydrated, so healthy, boys.
Yeah.
Joel's pulling out comics below Tom Cruise there.
behind that tabby cat.
I have a Spider-Man
Jersey.
#1. That's what we got here.
Oh, look at that.
Spider-Man #1. Wow.
Can't wait till next year when we can get Tabby and Buck back in the same studio, because their Zoom chemistry, like, you can't have two guys in their 70s zooming live. Like, yeah, I know. That's what I saw.
That's what we're talking about, Joel.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is Buck the anti-vax Martinez? I like how Rogers just never really. They just like, why is Buck in Mexico? Like, we can't talk about it. Like, why is Buck on a pirate ship? He was just never in. Couldn't come into the country.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's pivot now on to, I guess.
No, you know what? Let's hold on before we pivot. I do want to talk about how they bring Dan Schulman in to reel in the doddering old manness of Tabby, Cat, and Buck, which I do love how they dodder and they'll tell these long stories with no direction or anything. So they bring Dan in to reel him in, and then they start needing to do like Zoom stuff, and you can just tell like. Poor Schulman.
Fighting for his life.
Yeah, it's like, it is out of here. And by that, I mean the infield. It's a fly out and the innings over.
Yeah, it's if it's fair, fly ball to center field.
Yeah.
I felt terrible for the play-by-play guys because it's a 5-second, like a home run call is like a 5-second wind-up for those guys.
Yeah.
So to not know is like, it is, they just don't know. They have no idea. And then you're looking and then you're like, well, where's Teoscar standing? I'll base it on that. Like, wait a second. That's not a good idea.
Yeah. Hits would happen and you just wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
Man.
I see a comment in the YouTube chat here actually from Lewis. I don't know why he didn't just bring this up to us, but he says
we went past it. And
DeGrom had a higher OPS than Randall Grichuk in 2021.
So
that's just a beautiful stat right there.
That's our primary DH for 2021 right there. 2022.
DeGrom for the fourth outfielder spot.
Yeah.
All right, now we're talking. All right, so let's move on now to the MLB lockout and kind of wrap things up for today.
Aren't we doing spring training no pay? That's the one I want to.
That's part of the lockout, Scott. It's all in the umbrella.
It's an umbrella.
Arguing. It's an umbrella of issues, man. Come on. All right, so first issue with the lockout, I guess. Let's talk about the MLB argued in court this week that those greedy college athlete equivalents in the minor leagues should not be paid for their time in spring training. What's this even going to save them? $400 a month? Like, what are they? They're not very well paid anyways. Like,
listen, before we even get into this, I do want to just talk about the one thing that stands out to me is when we had Hagen Danner on the show. He's on the Jays 40-man roster. And he was talking about how in low A and high A, the balls are even shittier and slipperier than even in double A, triple A, and the majors. And he was talking about what a pain it is when you wind up going up to the next level and you need to relearn, with a different feeling ball. And we asked him, we're like, why do they do that? Like, is it just more money for the different ball? And he's like, oh, probably. I mean, I make $12,000. So, like, literally just how quick he said that. So he's making $12,000 for his full season at high A, like, and now
And
they're
he's
like,
on a
oh,
yeah.
like
he's on a 40-man roster. Yeah, he's as
I mean,
close to the majors as many people are going to get ever.
And it shows you how little they care about sort of what fans think, right? Because you'd think that this would be the only time where you're trying to curry favor with fans, to be this sympathetic. You know, you're trying to win the battle of hearts and minds against the players, and you want more pressure on the players union than on you, and you're still willing to do stuff like this where you just stick it to the little guy in the middle of
to
a
go
PR
to court to do it is what I love.
Yeah.
And it's the exact opposite, like you said, from like a PR standpoint of the posturing they did earlier, where they were like, yeah, we're going to provide housing for everybody. Right? I guess part two of that sentence is we got to pay for it by not paying their salaries during spring training.
Yeah. It's just to be like, don't worry about these minor league players. We've opened our own food bank. And
there's a GoFundMe going.
Yeah, there's little snack bags available with pudding and granola bars. So you can stop worrying about all these guys in AAA on our 40-man because they've got plenty of pudding. Insane.
Plenty of pudding, and then slams his Timmy's. What a guy.
I just don't get it.
Oh man. I did see we could just kind of quickly touch on this. I did see an idea where the players union imposes on their own players like a union fee, if you will, of let's say 4.5-5% on every Major League Baseball contract, and then divides that amongst the 3,600 minor leaguers. So roughly, just follow me on the numbers here, roughly $4 billion in total salaries for Major League Baseball players last year. If you put a 5% tax on all of that in terms of union fees.
And then you would have guys like Carlos Correa saying, how do you say eat shit in Spanish? You know, like.
Well, I know there's problems.
He knows how to say it.
I'm sure he does.
But this would result in like a $50,000 split, like $50,000 for each of the 3,600 minor league players. And if we're just arguing about like, well, we want more money for these guys anyways, we want to raise the league minimum, like we're taking money out of Carlos Correa's pockets at the end of the day anyways. If we make them pay minor league salaries, they're going to pay less on those contracts in the end, are they not? I don't know. It was an interesting idea.
So
I mean, that's part of the story always when minor league players aren't paid well or treated well, is that no one's negotiating for them when it comes right down to it, right? I mean, when push comes to shove, players association versus owners, it's like, well, if we want to get this, then we have to give up that for our AAA guys. And they're like, why did you even fucking say that? Like, we're here for us. Like,
well, it's true because like you only get a vote if you're on the 40 man, right?
To go to bat. Like, the players have to go to bat for these minor league players, and they clearly don't.
Well, there is a little bit, I think, and this is not really like a public stance, but I think there's for sure an aspect of that is, look, I fucking ate shit for 6 years in the minor leagues. I made $12,000 a year for 5 years. Now I'm on the 40 man. Now I'm on the team. Now it's my turn to make some money, right? I went through it. They can survive it. I survived it. Fuck those guys. And I know that's not the public stance, but for sure that's got to be a factor when it comes to voting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if I tweaked my knee, I'd be worthless. Like, while I am an expensive piece of meat, give me my meat money.
Yeah.
Like, I am money meat. Give me the money. I'm the meat. Give me the money. Give this meat some money.
If there was a clip to start this show with, that is the clip we were taking out.
I am meat. Give me money.
I am the meat money. Give me my meat money.
That guy's meat isn't as valuable as my meat. Give me the money.
All right. Anyone else got any?
I just want to go from AAA to the big leagues with one giant arm. Like, it's just make it as obvious as possible that I'm clearly used. I just have one huge arm, and the rest of me is just emaciated.
Oh man. Any other thing to add on this whole minor league bullshit before we tackle the bigger issues of the MLB lockout?
I was going to say you.
Yeah,
go ahead, Lewis. Sorry, buddy. Or Joel, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say you take 5% off the $4 billion that MLB throws out there, and that's what Scott Boras makes. and
Yeah.
and then but like, it's funny because there's such a big divide between the top end players who make, the Trouts with their $400+ million contracts, and then, but it's like, hey, universal DH that gets rid of bench hitters. That's money to the middleman. That's another shift to make the middle of baseball, even more poor. I was the only one arguing for that. Anyways, and the other thing being the fact that the players, the seniors who come out of a ball, who get the screwed over tremendously on that initial contract signing. Like I brought that up before, and some of these guys who are getting $1,500 signing bonuses in the third round and the fourth round.
You're talking about these college guys who've played all 5 years, have no college eligibility left,
Yeah,
are drafted in
then,
the second round, but have no leverage to negotiate a contract because take it or retire.
Exactly, under a spot that is the average payout is probably like $800,000 to $1 million, and they're getting lowballed at $1,500. Like they're getting less than Mickey Mantle got in 1949.
Because they got nowhere to go.
They got nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just losing out on talent. You're losing out on talent. And every little extra star that you make is the fire that breathes the game, right?
And Major League Baseball, owns League 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's like you have no negotiation power. You have no negotiating power. You have no leverage. Because
you can go play independent ball in Mexico, pretty much, is your choice. Like, go overseas to Korea or Japan. Like, those are the choices they're giving these kids. Like, it's crazy.
All right. MLB lockout in general. Are we getting close? Because Manfred would have us believe that spring training, despite starting 2 days from now, is not at jeopardy of being postponed. I don't buy it. Scott? Are we going to postpone spring training? Are we going to lose games?
Well, I mean, Rob Manfred has never lied to us before, so we should ever. So we should be fine with what he says.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right,
I think it's all a fucking show. Like, obviously, I think spring training's done. I think they're not even going to start spring training until early April, in all honesty. And then we'll probably see the season start end of April. And I'm being optimistic. I'm hoping that this is, like we only lose 20, 30 games and then they get the season going. One thing that Manfred has come out and said is that he truly does see one of the reasons why the injuries were higher in 2020 with the shortened season is that they did rush that 2.5 week spring training, and he would like to have a full 4 weeks. So if that's the case, like, we're already at the point where we're for sure losing 2 weeks, right? Like, even if they make progress over the next week, they're probably not done for 2 weeks, like until the CBA. And this is if everything goes the way it's supposed to go. Like, look at when the MLBPA put in that proposal. MLB comes out and is like, okay, we're going to do a counter proposal in 2 days. And now it took 2 weeks for that 2 day later proposal to come in. So at this pace, we're not going to have baseball until 2024. Like,
yeah, I mean, like every quote is just posturing at this point anyway. So it doesn't even matter. Like, he may have just gotten out of the worst meeting he's had in 10 years with the PA and been like, I think everything's on track. Like, just to send a message to them, like, hey, we're going to get what we want. So whatever, it's on track. We're doing good. Like, so everything is just posturing.
Manfred retires after this, right? I mean, he's got to step down. Like,
I don't know. You'd think Bettman at some point, these guys don't step down. It's just like,
no, because the owners love these guys, right? Because it's just it's a public kicking boy that takes the heat off of the other guys with the meat money.
Yeah, because when those guys talk, they say things like Rocky Wirtz did, right? Where it's like, leave us alone with those questions about assault of our player. Like, when owners talk, they talk poorly, and they're clearly a rich guy who doesn't want to be questioned by anybody. So you put a guy like Bettman or Manfred in front of the cameras. They're lawyers. They know how to speak. They know what not to say.
Yeah,
it's boring as hell. Like, if there's an interview with an executive, fast forward. If there's an interview with to say they know what not to say, it's boring. I just let's just watch the games when there's like post-game interviews and stuff, I don't even listen, to be honest. I'm just like, who cares? Like, they're going to say the thing they're supposed to say. Why am I tuning into this?
I mean, from a PR standpoint, you would think that there would be pressure on Manfred to step down after this. But if Gary Bettman has taught us anything, it's that if you just sit tight, there'll be another commissioner in another league that will overshadow how shitty you're being, and then you can just carry on.
And they probably write it into their contract, right? They probably say things like, look, when that CBA comes up and I'm the guy who's taken all the daggers to the heart, you cannot fire me. And if you do, you got to pay me out every dollar you owe. So these guys probably have their contract structured so that if these guys want to make me the fall guy for a poorly negotiated CBA, they're going to have to give me $280 million to walk away or whatever. You know, it's huge. So I don't know if he's going anywhere. Who knows? Unless he wants to.
I don't think so either. I think the more the fans hate him, the less we hate specifically the owners, and that's good for the owners, and he's happy, right? They're happy with him, and he's safe in his job. So as long as he's making them money,
he's a good meat shield.
Good meat shield.
Meat shield.
The position of the commissioner is like that was instituted to solve the Black Sox issue, right? Like they needed an all-powerful top mediator with supreme power that could not be appealed upon, right? And the fact that exists 100 years later in the sport is rather ridiculous. And Manfred,
I thought you were going to say shows how well it works.
Sure. Well, like Manfred following in the steps of like Bud Selig. Bud Selig made it to the Hall of Fame no matter what he did, right? He's a Hall of Fame commissioner, right? And the fact that Bud Selig's tenure, like he saw baseball go to the moon under steroids, right? So he's like, why am I going to stop steroids when it's never been so popular? And then Manfred comes in and he's like, well, those home runs sure were popular. Let's juice the balls in 2019 and you get 26% more home runs than the steroid era, right? And you're like, oh, well, that'll just be on me. Changing the balls, that's not the players being all juiced up. So that'll be fine. You're like, the power that he has to drastically change the game and do whatever he wants to it is
awesome.
Yeah. And let's try to reduce spin rates halfway through a year. Like, I mean,
destroy Tyler Glasnow's elbow.
You should wear a crown. Like, and the foreign substance thing, like I was doing videos in advance of them, bringing up enforcement. Okay. And this was like a month before enforcement. And I said, if you want to start enforcing foreign substance, you have to give them a 2-month gap to slowly transition off of it. It's like taking heroin instantly away from a heroin addict. It's not that. It's not, it's an evil drug, but it's not going to end up nicely, right? You can't just make them go cold turkey on this thing. And the fact that they instituted enforcement in 2 weeks, it was Bieber, Means, Glasnow, all down, literally on their next start. They all went down, and that full power that he has, that he can wield, and he should literally just wear a crown because he's got that type of power. So he should stay. I say he should stay. He's great.
Is that a sarcastic?
Long live the king is what I took from that. Yes.
So he has power, but he has power to do exactly what the owners fucking want him to do.
Exactly.
Right. So he only has power because the owners give him power. So he doesn't, I don't know. I guess from the other perspective of like, he has all this control, but also I don't think he really has any. I think he's just the front facing public puppet. I think there's 30 rich owners who are like, no, go do this. You're going to take heat for it. We don't care. Do what's ever going to affect ticket sales in the short term or our next TV deal, and just deal with it. So,
a meat puppet, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Puppet.
Shields.
John, you should make a shirt where somebody's hand is up Rob Manfred and just says meat puppet on it.
He's the meatiest puppet we have.
All right. Well, you guys, this has been a lot of fun. Somehow we filled well over an hour here on Super Bowl Sunday.
What happens when you start talking Pujols for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Like
and the
nobody on the
Aaron
planet's
Judge.
talking Pujols today. Except us.
Yeah, get all your Pujol and meat puppet content right here. Out of context, that's not going to sound right. All right, one last question here for the Discord, the little fun one to end on, and then we'll say our goodbyes. But this one is, loved the Bull Durham movie review from Scott and Adam. That was hilarious to revisit. Here's some trivia for all of you to try. Does Kevin Costner have more baseball movies or more children? Joel, more baseball movies or more children? Just quick guess, and we'll just go around the table here. What's that?
It's got to be baseball.
Lewis says baseball.
I'm
movies?
going baseball movies for fun.
I don't know.
Because he seems like a wealthy man, you know.
Scott's going.
I think he's the kind of guy that probably has like 10 foster kids just to show you everybody how rich he is.
More kids.
So he probably has more kids than baseball movies. I'm sure he's got 10 foster kids that he's never met.
And Joel, where do you land on this?
His house is so huge.
Yeah, I definitely think it's kids. I think it's probably double for kids. Probably.
All right. He has 7 children and 5 baseball movies.
Man,
which is it's insane that there's literally a top 5 Kevin Costner list for baseball movies. Those movies
that is crazy.
Those movies being Chasing Dreams, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, For Love of the Game, and Upside of Anger. So
Bull Durham and Field of Dreams. That's just a crazy combo.
What we know about Kevin Costner is if you touch it, he will come.
There you go.
And his 7 kids prove that.
Are we still talking about his meat
Scott.
puppet? All right.
Meat puppet.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Thanks for everybody for joining the show. Thanks for everybody who's watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast. Appreciate it. Scott, you got some comedy shows coming up?
I'm in Ottawa at the end of the month, headlining Laugh Lounge there. So if you're a trucker in Ottawa, you get in for free. That's fine. That is my guarantee to you.
I always thought of you as a convoy comic.
Thanks, buddy. That's
Canada's convoy comic, Scott Belfield.
It's good to have a niche.
Absolutely. Joel, what's going on with you, man? Where can people find you?
Right. Oh, sorry. Right there. Hey, Conmy, on TikTok. You can just baseball content, pretty much making videos every day. I wasn't making videos every day this week, but usually I am. It's lockout, right? There's no content. Also got a movie in production out in Los Angeles, and hopefully I'll be able to give you guys a place to watch it in the next 2 months. Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Awesome. Lewis, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter at JaysKid_RHP. I just tweet random Blue Jay stuff over there. Obviously, I'm just lost. There's nothing to tweet about.
But honestly, if you are a Jays fan on Twitter, like Lewis's account is the best. It's one of the top follows in my books anyways. I love it.
Scott runs the Walkoff Twitter, and all he does is just retweets Lewis. So
yeah.
Thanks, man. I don't do all that troll garbage that everyone else does. I just keep it clean baseball stuff. So you can follow me there.
All right.
Thanks for having me, guys.
What's that, Joel?
I do the troll garbage.
Someone's got to do it.
Absolutely. All right. And Sean, thanks again for joining us today. What do you got going on right now?
Nothing at all.
Perfect.
Absolutely nothing. All right. See you meat puppets later. See you.
He's not even gonna plug Dead Baby Bear. Total perfect opportunity. No, throw it aside.
That's fine.
He does not.
Sean has 0 podcasts, by the way. Yeah.
Does not want his classy podcast affiliated with this meat puppet nonsense.
It's all class. It's all class over there.
All right. So tell us about your podcast that you do and where people can listen to that.
You're really pushing this on me, man.
Well, I mean, it's either that or we defend Vladdy Guerrero in that hot take from last year. So you choose.
Listen, it was the lowest point of his professional career. He was hitting, and I just, and you guys interviewed me the next day. You caught me at a weak moment of weakness.
And you were like, let's sell low on the kid.
Shit on Vladdy for 5 minutes. It was a mistake. I own it. You know what I mean? Now he's my meat buddy. Now he's one of my favorite meat buddies.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have much going on, but yeah, we'll see you guys around.
Absolutely. Thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate you taking time out of the biggest football day of the year.
I don't care about it. I don't care.
Love to hear that, Louis.
Yeah, I hate football. Don't care about basketball. Oh, there goes my camera again. Only baseball. Only baseball.
All right. Well, cheers, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll catch you again next Sunday. So, cheers.
All right.